Hey guys, it's Holly with Bookgasmic Review, and tonight I am really excited because I'm going to do my very first book haul video. Up until very recently, I have done the majority of my reading on my Kindle, but I am slowly trying to get back into collecting books again. So this is my very first chance at doing a book haul for you guys, and I've got a pretty good size haul for you. I've got 20 books here that I've gotten over the last month, and I have a little bit of a story that kind of goes along with it, so I'm going to get that out of the way first. Recently I started reading a book on my Kindle that I absolutely fell in love with, and so much to the point that I really just wanted to have the actual copy of the book. And that happens every once in a while, where I just love a book so much that I have to feel it in my hands as I'm reading it. I think the last time it happened was when I was reading Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. So ever since my beloved Borders closed, really the only places that you can find books in my area are Target and Walmart. So I went to both places looking for this book, and neither one of them had the book, and I was very disappointed. So I was driving home, and I happened to drive by where the old Borders used to be, and lo and behold, a brand new bookstore had opened up. And it's called Books A Million, or BAM as the sign said. And I made my way through 3 lanes of traffic to get into the parking lot, which was jammed full, by the way. And this store literally had to have opened within a couple of days of my going there, because I had been by there probably within a week, and there was nothing there. No sign, nothing. Anyway, I go into the store, and you guys, it was a total deja vu moment, because the store was laid out almost exactly like my old Borders. They even had the little coffee shop on the side. But I was a little hesitant, thinking that, they might have a really crappy YA section, but you know what? I was very pleasantly surprised, because their YA section, from what I could tell, was almost as good as the one at my old Borders. So not only did I end up finding the book I was looking for, but I found a bunch of other ones as well. So on the one hand, I'm extremely excited to have a local bookstore again, and the other is probably a double-edged sword, because I'll probably end up spending way too much money there. But anyway, that leads me to the first book of my haul. And not only did I buy the book that I was looking for, but I actually got the 2 following books in the series. And that book is Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. I did a review video of this book earlier, and if you watched it, you know how much I love this book. It's just phenomenal, so I will keep my comments to a minimum. But I got this book, which is the first book in the series, the second book, which is called Linger, which is what I'm reading right now. I'm about 70 pages into it, and the third book, which is called Forever. It kind of sucks that I had to get 2 paperbacks and 1 hardback, but I'm just really happy that I was able to find it at all. And one of the best aspects of having this series is each book has different colored print. I wish more books would be that way. I wish more authors would do that. The first one has blue. It's not going to show up on this crappy webcam. Linger has green. It's probably my favorite. And then Forever has red. Yeah. You probably couldn't see that at all. And like I said, I'm not going to really talk very much about the plot of these books, because I just did a review of Shiver, so go watch that video if you want to know what they're about. But I'm sure you've heard of it. You probably already know what it's about to begin with. Anyway, okay, next up is another book that I actually did a review for, but I actually bought this and the rest of the books in the series in the past month, so I thought I would include them here. So it is The Iron King by Julie Kagawa. This is the first book in the Iron Phase series, and me being the unashamed cover whore that I am, I absolutely love the cover of all of the books in this series. This is book 1. This is book 2, The Iron Daughter. This is probably my favorite cover of the series anyway. This is book 3, The Iron Queen. And this is the last book in the series, The Iron Knight, and this is the front. That's Ash on the cover. And then on the back is Puck, my boy Puck. Although he looks nothing like how I picture him in my head. Absolutely nothing. And he really doesn't look like the Ash that I picture in my head either. But then if you watched my video review of the Iron King, you know that I wasn't a very big fan of Ash. So, but that's a big pet peeve of mine, is that, you know, these cover models and these movies that get made from the books that I love, they never seem to get the image right that I have in my head. I mean, how dare they? Anyway, okay, so anybody who knows me knows that one of my very favorite series of books is the Mortal Instruments series from Cassandra Clare. And I am one of those very sad, pathetic individuals who has been purposely saving the latest book in the series because I know I've got like a year before she releases the next one. And especially since I just finished reading Clockwork Prince and loved it so much. But I didn't actually have the physical copy of the book. I had it on my Kindle, and since I have the entire Immortal Instruments series and Infernal Devices series in hard copy, of course I had to buy this, City of Fallen Angels. Now, I'm assuming that this is supposed to be Simon, because his hair is too dark to be Jace. Yeah, so I'm assuming this is Simon. Again, doesn't look anything like how I picture him. And I'd like to know why Clary is wearing a nightgown. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Yeah, so. And this is the back. Not really my favorite cover of the series. No. But it's still nice. Yeah. Okay, these next two books are sort of the result of me being bored walking around a department store and seeing something that sort of catches my interest. But I'm a little hesitant about them because after I bought them, I realized that I had read something by the author in the past, and I didn't really like it. It wasn't a YA book. It was, I believe it was a vampire novel, and wasn't a big fan of it. But I'm hoping, you know, I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt because the plot sounds very interesting. So, it is Touch of Frost by Jennifer Estep. And this is the first book in the series. Not really sure how many books are going to be in the series, but this is the first book. And this is the back. And I got the second book as well, which is called Kiss of Frost, and I really like this cover. I think it's very pretty. Yeah. And it basically has the exact same back as the first book. And pretty much these books are about a school called Mythos Academy, which is basically a school for mythological warriors. You've got the Spartans and the Valkyries and the gypsies, and the main character, her name is Jasmine. Is it Jasmine? Yeah, Jasmine. And she's a gypsy, and her gift is that she basically can touch something and know the history of everyone who touched it. And yeah, someone gets killed in a library, and an old relic is stolen, and if the relic falls into the wrong hands, it can cause this massive war. And I know what you're thinking, it kind of sort of sounds a lot like the Percy Jackson series, which is one of my favorite series. I'm hoping that that's a good thing. I'm hoping that it's along the lines of the Percy Jackson series and not just like a rip-off of it. But like I said, it sounds really interesting, and I'm hoping that it's good. So I will keep you guys updated. I'm sure I'll end up doing a video review when I actually read it. Okay, so one of my little OCD tendencies is that if I start a new series of books, I usually try and wait until they have at least 2 or 3 books in the series already released, because one of the things I hate is reading a book and really loving it and then having to wait a year for the next book in the series. So These next books I've heard nothing but good things about, and they were really cheap, and they had a special going on for buy two get one free, so I got the first 3 books in the series. And it is the Gone series by Michael Grant. Now, you probably already know what I'm going to say. I do not like the little stickers that Books A Million put on some of their books. It's a huge pet peeve of mine to put it on the front of the book. You can put it anywhere you want on the back, but not on the front. Ugh. Even though I am not a fan of the covers of any of these books in the series, because the cover models look like cast-offs from Gossip Girl, still, the sticker is more annoying than the covers. This is the first book in the series. It's called Gone, even though it looks like it's called Go. And that's the back. And this dude looks either really pissed off or really, really constipated. Yeah. And this is the second book in the series. It's called Hunger. There's Constipated Boy again. And this is the third book in the series, called Lies. And I believe there's one more book so far, and I think it's called Plague. Yeah, but these were the only 3 that they had, so the plot of these books it's a dystopian novel where all of the adults disappear one day, and all of the teenagers and kids basically have to figure out how to take care of themselves and try and keep it, try to rebuild civilization. And like I said, I've heard nothing but good things about this series, and I will probably start this book as soon as I'm done with the Wolves of Mercy Falls series. So I will let you guys know what I think. Okay, next up. Now this book, I will freely admit, I picked it up primarily because of the cover. The cover is just absolutely gorgeous. It's called Wither by Lauren DeStefano, and it's the first book in the Chemical Garden trilogy. And even the back is pretty. Although this is the everything is backwards on this camera. This is the cover of the upcoming sequel, the second book in the series. I'm not really liking that. I mean, look at that. And look at this. Which one is better? Exactly. So, even though I was attracted to the book by the cover, the storyline sounds very intriguing as well. It's another dystopian novel, and pretty much the males all die when they're 25, and the females usually die by the time they're 20. And there's this whole strange sort of thing where they buy off the girls into prearranged marriage, and the female lead, her name is Rhine. She ends up marrying this man she doesn't really know, and she falls in love with one of his servants named Gabriel. And it sounds interesting. A little strange, but it sounds interesting. Yeah. So there's that. And this is another book I bought primarily just for the cover. It's called Crave by Melissa Darnell. Look at the pretties. And it says Bloodlust, Magic, Forbidden Secrets. Yeah, and this book, even after reading the back, I'm not really sure exactly what the hell it's about. It is the first book in a series called The Clan, so I'm assuming it's about witches. I'll read to you part of what it says on the back, and it says, Forbidden to love, doomed to fail. Savannah Colbert has never known why she's so hated by the kids of the clan, nor can she deny her instinct to get close to clan golden boy Tristan Coleman, especially when she recovers from a strange illness and the attraction becomes nearly irresistible. It's as if he's a magnet, pulling her gaze, her thoughts, even her dreams. Her family has warned her to have nothing to do with him or any member of the clan, but when Tristan is suddenly everywhere she goes, Savannah fears she's destined to fail. So yeah, I don't know. It sounds interesting, if a little vague, but yeah, I'm sure I'll be reading this pretty soon, and I'm interested to find out what the heck is going on with the story. But yeah, I'm intrigued. Sometimes, the less you know about the plot of a book when you start it, the more you end up enjoying it because everything is a surprise. So we'll see if that's the case with this book when I get to read it. The next book, The Future of Us. Now, I was recommended this book by several people on Goodreads, and the premise of this book sounds really, really, really great. It's set in 1996. I believe it's 1996. Yes, 1996, and it's a story of these two best friends, Josh and Emma. And one day, Emma installs. You remember when? Well, back in the day, I feel so old when I say this, but there used to be these AOL discs that they would have like at stores, and you'd get them in the mail, and you'd install it on your computer. Back when AOL was like the best internet service provider you could get. Well, one day Emma installs it on her computer, and when she tries to go online, it takes her immediately to Facebook, which had not been invented yet in 1996. And what happens is Josh and Emma get glimpses into their future every time they go onto their Facebook pages, and every time they go there, their future changes. And this just sounds like such an incredibly unique premise for a book that I'm really excited to read it. It's a case of me always seeing this book. It seems like every time I went into a department store or whatever, I would see it, and I kept wanting to get it, but I was waiting for it to get cheaper, and finally when I was at Books A Million, I was able to get it for $8. So, yes, I will definitely be reading this very soon, and I'm very excited to read it. And it doesn't hurt that the guy that you can't really even see very well on the cover kind of reminds me of Evan Peters from American Horror Story. Kind of looks like the ugly sweater of his character Tate. Yeah, so anyway. Okay, next up. This is another one that the cover is what drew me to the book, but the storyline actually sounds really, really interesting. It's Hourglass by Myra McIntyre, and this is it's a ghost story. This girl, her name is Emerson, and ever since her parents died, she has the ability to see ghosts and communicate with them. And the only person that believes her is her brother, who one day introduces her to this very strange person from this organization called Hourglass. And it has a lot to do with her having an ability to go back in time and prevent a murder from happening. And it sounds really, really cool. And this is another book that has been recommended to me countless times by people on Goodreads, so I'm very excited to read this one. And finally, I come to the last 3 books of my book haul, and I was so excited to get my hands on hard copies of these books because I've wanted them for a really long time. And I've only read the first book in the series, but it's one of my favorite books ever, and they are 3 of my favorite covers of all time. It's the Theater Illuminata series by Lisa Mancheff, and this is the first book, Eyes Like Stars. This is book 2, Perchance to Dream. And this is the 3rd book, which just came out not too long ago, So Silver Bright. And hands down, my favorite cover of the 3 is the second one. And this series is about a girl named Bertie Shakespeare who grows up in this theater, literally inside this theater, and she is surrounded by every character from every play imaginable. You have Lady Ophelia, Hamlet, you've got the fairies, the little fairies that are flying over her head are Peace Blossom, Cobweb Moth, and Mustard Seed from A Midsummer Night's Dream. And the first book in the series is basically the story of how Birdie is just desperate to stay inside this theater, and the character of Ariel, which is this character, is absolutely desperate to break away from the theater and live in the outside world. And it's the one word that sort of sums up the entire book, in my opinion, is magical. It's just brilliant and beautiful and poetic, and I cannot recommend this book highly enough. I probably should get around to making a video review of this because I loved it so much, and the more people I can get to read this book, the better, because it's just amazing. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my book haul this time. This was a lot of fun, and thank you for listening to my rambling. And I will look forward to talking to you guys later. And as always, happy reading!